Hi, and welcome back to the course, R for Journalists. We are continuing our chapter on spatial analysis, and we are going to now create interactive maps using the Leaflet package. So, prior to this, we've been focusing on static maps, and that is just images and vectors of maps, which are very effective in conveying information in a clean manner. But sometimes it's necessary to zoom in or pan around the map for greater comprehension so you can explore the data spatially. For example, this is what's called as a slippy map. So this is a slippy map, and this is an interactive map right here, because you can scan around, you can zoom in, and you can see street names, you can see landmarks. So the Leaflet R package was created by the folks behind RStudio to integrate with the popular open source JavaScript library, Leaflet. And a lot of journalism projects have run on Leaflet before. So R's Leaflet package is great for journalists who have little knowledge of JavaScript, but who still want to make interesting interactives using R. And there's excellent documentation if you on the website, Leaflet for R, if you want to dig in deeper into its functionality after this introduction. So essentially, this package lets you make maps with custom map tiles, markers, polygons, lines, pop-ups, and GeoJSON. So almost any map you can make in Google Fusion Table or Carto, you can make in R using the Leaflet package. So we will start out. I'm in my folder. I'm in the Chapter 5 master. I'm going to open up Leaflet maps. I've already got the RMD file for everyone who wants to follow along. I'm going to open up a script and run it that way. So first, make sure you have the package Leaflet. Load that library. If you don't have it installed on your computer yet, do install that package as Leaflet. Let's see if I have it. I do not, so I'm going to try spelling it correctly. I still don't have it. So install.packages Leaflet. That should take a few moments. Library Leaflet loaded. I'm also going to use the library dplyr because the Leaflet lets you use pipes, and we want that functionality. Okay, so step number 1. Let's put a marker on a map. So let's go to Google Maps and search for any old address. I'm going to go ahead and pick work. And so, or you can type in the address. Okay, once you get this little marker pop up on Google Maps, all I have to do is right click it and search and click on the menu, what's here. And you see right away this little thing will pop up, and so you can copy paste the latitude and longitude. And you can get this anywhere by right clicking anywhere to see what's here. And it'll give you the latitude and longitude. So let's keep track of that. Put it in comments right here. Okay, so we have the latitude and longitude saved up in here in a comment. So now we initialize this by, let's say, I'm going to save it as an object actually. So first we start out with Leaflet. And so that's the function to initialize it, kind of like ggplot. Leaflet, and then we add tiles. So you have to do this layer by layer, right? So next you give it tiles, and now is where we can give it location. So we set view, because that's the every time you open up this, the view is right in the middle of the map. So I want the view to be, let's just keep it where the address is. So LNG is the argument you pass to it for longitude, and that is this negative number, comma LAT for latitude equals the other number. If you mess around and figure out that this isn't correct, you'll notice, because you might be in like Antarctica or something. So if that is the case, just flip it, because it really just matters where you are. Okay, so this should work right now. I'm gonna run it without that extra pipe. Let's see, type in M, let's see how that looks. Great. So you see that is the center. So now we have the map, it has the default tiles, and now I want to, like I said, give it a marker. So I will add the function add marker. And then lng equals pretty much the same thing. I'm going to copy and paste this. You want to give the location of the marker, and I'm going to give it a pop-up. Equals, and I'm going to pass it some HTML. So I'll say in bold, hello, and the anchor tag for bold, and then line break, and say give it a link to my website. Oh, actually, and it's in string, so I can't do another quotation mark, so I have to do a single quotation mark so it doesn't break up the string. Okay. And then end anchor tag. Okay, and I think this should work. Let's give it a shot. What's wrong? Oh, I forgot to end that string. Okay. Run that. Run those lines. Unexpected. Longitude, latitude, pop up, equals. Okay, M. And there it is. So I've got a nice little pop-up. I've got the link. It pops up here in the browser. Okay, very simple, right? So, like I said, Leaflet initializes the Leaflet workspace. Add tiles by itself will bring in the default OpenStreetMap tiles. There's a list of free Leaflet tiles that you can use instead of that if that's not what you're into. You can see all these different ones for the background. There's instructions on how to use it. Let's see. So set view is self-explanatory. It's just simpler to implement. Add markers has some specific parameters for it. So just important thing to note is that the order of commands is important. A view can't be set unless there are tiles established first. So how do you save this for online? Very easy. All you do is click export, save as web page. I'm going to save this as just my map.html. And now this is what it looks like. And it's there in your browser. I'm sorry, your folder. Let's see. There it is, my map. And so from here, you've got the link, and you can upload it to a server somewhere. Maybe GitHub Pages or something. And then you can take this address and then iframe it into your website. And this would work. And I think I have some example of code for an iframe on the on how to put an iframe embed code to your website if that's what you want. Let's see. Let's now look at multiple locations, how to map them. So you can put in multiple markers, or you can kind of even go for a wider scale. Let's bring in some data. I'm going to bring in some Dunkin' Donuts data that I scraped several years ago, so it's definitely not up to date now, but it makes for a useful data set. So I'm bringing the library readr because I'm going to be reading some CSV data. And I'm going to bring in Dunkin' Donuts. So Dunkin' and read underscore CSV. And I am going to point it to my Leaflet maps folder /data /Dunkin.csv. 'csv. Run that. Let's take a look at what I got. Glimpse at Dunkin'. Okay, so I've got store ID, address, city, state, zip, county, latitude and longitude. So I don't have to geolocate these, geocode these at all. That's useful. So we've got about 8,000 rows of Dunkin' Donut store location data. Let's limit it a bit because 8,000 dots on a Slippy map is very taxing on a browser. So pick any state. Actually, let's just, for simplicity, use the state where Dunkin' Donuts started, and that's Dunkin'. Create a new object called DD state. Dunkin' pipe to filter. State is Massachusetts, MA. Alright. You can use your own state, it's just that later on you're going to need to set view to the middle of that state. So if you don't choose MA, you just need to make sure later on in these instructions, instead of the middle of Massachusetts, for the set view, you set the middle to wherever you are, to wherever you chose. So let's make a map with a new tile set this time, because this one is just okay. The one we used before was just okay. So instead of the add tiles function, we're going to use a new function to bring in new tiles called add provider tiles. Alright, so that's the function, but I will show you how it looks in all. So first, let's start with M again, just so we can save this object, and then start with leaflet. And this time we're going to pass it the data here, which is DD state. And then add provider tiles. And the provider is going to be $. Where were the... There we go. Whoa. I'm not going to use that. That's a little too dramatic. Okay, I like this one. CartoDB dark matter. So in here, you type in provider $CartoDB dot dark matter, and then pipe that to set view, which I already know is going to be negative 0.71.931180 and 42.385.453. That's the middle of Massachusetts. I already just looked it up. Zoom equals 7, and pipe that to, this time instead of add markers, I'm going to use the function add circles, and I'm going to give it a tilde to lon in here because that's what the longitude is on that, and then tilde lat, and give it a pop-up equals, and I'm just going to make sure it points to type. Okay, very easy because it'll just bring in that text. So Dunkin' $type, and comma, what is the weight of the circle? 3. Radius of these circles, I'll give it a 40, comma, and color is going to be, and this, you can pass hex codes to this. I'm going to choose kind of a bright orange because why not, Dunkin'. So hash FFA500 will be the orange, and then stroke equals true, why not, fill opacity equals 0.8. Okay, let's see if that works. It's saved to my object again, M, and so let's run M. Provider not found. Providers. Add provider tiles. Leaflet DD state, add provider, CartoDB dark matter. I'm going to cheat and copy and paste from my code. It looks the exact same, so what's going on? Okay, it worked. So where was I going wrong? Was there a typo? Yeah, that's why. There was a typo. It's always a typo. So now it works. I didn't have an S at the end of providers. Okay, and so this is the a locator map now of all the Dunkin' Donuts in Massachusetts. So that's pretty interesting. You zoom into Boston, you can see like there are Dunkin' Donuts like in the same block of each other. Some of them like across the street, down the street from each other. So That's definitely Boston for you. So why stop there? Let's bring in some competition. Let's bring in Starbucks. And so SB, let's say Starbucks. Excuse me. Starbucks read underscore CSV. I'll just bring this same function over, and the data frame is called Starbucks, or spreadsheet is. Great. So glimpse that. And I've got latitude and longitude already set up. Perfect. And I've got some new stuff. And type is still there. Great. Let's filter that to the state that we chose earlier. So SB underscore state, new object, and then Starbucks. Pipe it to filter. And in this data set, the state is called province. Probably because it has more international locations. And I need to spell province right. Okay, so it looks like there's 12,000 Starbucks compared to 1,000 Dunkins. Jeez. That's gotta be crazy. No, I'm sorry, 200. That makes more sense. 200 Starbucks compared to 1,000 Dunkin'. And in Massachusetts, that ratio is about right. So let's see. So instead of add circles, let's do add circle markers. So I want to keep all this. And actually, we need to create a new data frame because it's easier in this instance in Leaflet to combine everything. So SBLOC, we're going to select a few columns so that we can combine with a selected few of Dunkin' columns. So SBLOC select SB state, and we're going to keep type, lat, and lon. And same thing for DDLOC. Select DD state, type, lat, and lon. And we've got two of them, and you see they're narrowed down to 3 and 3. So let's combine them now, called DDSB. rbind is the function, and because this will work because the column names all line up. So SB underscore LOC and then DD LOC. Okay, so now let's create a color palette that we can pull. So I'm going to call that COF, and the function we're going to use is called color factor, and this is a function from Leaflet. And then we're going to give it combine. The first one will be the orange, FFA 500, and the other one will be, you guessed it, green, 13ED3F. And then, comma, pass it a domain is C Dunkin' Donuts, and this is based on type, right? Because that's what it is. So this is how they know to map it, comma, Starbucks. Run that. So now let's save the object to a Leaflet. Function DDSB is the data frame. Add, I'm going to copy and paste most of this. Repurpose that. Paste. Okay, from here, we're doing add circle markers. And LON, LOT with a tilde. Pop up is DDSB type. Weight is once again 3. Radius, we'll give it a 4. Color, we're going to pass tilde COF, that function. That palette that we created earlier. And then based on type. And then comma stroke, we're going to not give it an outline. Fill opacity, this time will be 0.5. Okay. That is saved. And you run M. It looks a little crowded, but you zoom in a little bit more, you can see more dots. Okay, and so what's great about this is you can kind of zoom into where you lived before. I used to live around here, and I definitely remember these being really close to each other. And so yeah, It just gives a little bit of personal anchorage to the story you might be telling. Or it's just great for if you're trying to explore a lot of data and you see like an interesting cluster, then as a reporting tool, you can like zoom in and see what's going on, and then you can like figure out the details that instead of putting type, you could put in like a report number, and so now you can write down the report and then go talk to the police about whatever the report had to see more details, to see if there's anything related to those particular clusters other than their location. So last thing I'm going to go over is adding a legend, and that's just with simply using the function add legend to it. So I'm going to keep using everything the same, but pipe it to add legend, and you give it a location. I'm going to say bottom right. Colors are equals combine, and I'm going to pass it these numbers I set up before. Comma labels equals C Duncan. And then comma Starbucks. And the title of the legend is going to be title equals coffee places. Okay, let's see that. Aha, there it is. Okay, so there's way too much orange, and you definitely want to play around with this some more if you're trying to publish this, so that it's more distinct, the colors. So you can change opacity, you can change the size, you can change the layering, so you have a lot of options. Before we go, I am going to just quickly see how this looks. What is the middle of Manhattan? Because why not? Alright, so I'm gonna say we will I'm going to get the view and copy this, paste this, change the view to 73.939892, middle of 40.695067, and then gonna change the filtering up here to NY. Run that. Starbucks NY. Run that. And now I'm gonna try to see what happens when I do it this way. Just by shifting the filtering variable, by shifting the set view, will New York show up? It didn't, because I forgot to filter it even more. Oh, right. Okay, so it's SB state. So I need to do these first. Okay, now let's see if that works. Okay, that kind of, yeah. Whoa. So that's all in New York, isn't it? It wasn't just New York, New York. Okay, so I would need to filter it more, and oh man, I would definitely need to fix the colors. But now you can see New York is definitely more of a Starbucks kind of town. All right, great job with the little locator dots. Next, we're going to learn how to make Slippy maps of choropleth maps. I will see you in the next video.